South Africa is facing a silent but growing health crisis, childhood obesity. The number of overweight children is soaring, with nearly 1 in 5 children under 5 now affected. From fast food culture to sugar baby products, unhealthy diets are shaping an entire generation's future. Joining us is UNICEF South Africa's nutrition manager, Gilbert Tshitaudzi, to explore what can be done. Gilbert, appreciate your time. Now, what does the latest data tell us about childhood obesity in the country?
Thank you very much, Hugo, for inviting UNICEF to talk about this very, very important issue. Overweight and obesity is increasing, at a very rapid pace, especially in children. If you look at children under the age of 5, in 2016, we're standing somewhere at 13%. But now in 2024, according to the very latest report, we are somewhere at 23%. You can see that we have a huge crisis at our hands. And however, you also need to remember that we're still dealing with the problems of undernutrition in this country, where children are still dying from wasting and other forms of undernutrition.
Now, why is South Africa one of the worst affected countries?
There are a number of key drivers to this. One is the food environment where children live. Typical example is very easy to access ultra-processed foods. These are foods that are loaded with chemicals, preservatives, additives, fats, sugars, and also, simple starches that don't necessarily provide good nutrients for the growth of children. So when children consume these foods, of course, they will lead to weight gain, which will then lead to overweight, and in certain instances to obesity. So, which we know that it will lead to a number of multiple conditions, which in this case could be some of the non-communicable diseases, like for example, at a later stage, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other heart-related diseases. So this is one of the major drivers. But the second one is really the digital marketing of unhealthy foods to children. This is easily accessible. I think the food industry have taken this advantage to ensure that they market their products, everywhere where children are, be they in schools, whether they are in institutions of higher learning. So they are bombarded on a daily basis with the marketing of this unhealthy foods, and this becomes easier for children to access and to consume and buy.
Now, are there any policies that UNICEF has recommended to government around marketing of food, or certainly the constitution or ingredients that go into some of these foodstuffs?
Yeah, there are multiple policy options that the South African government is pursuing, and we are really in support of these policies. One is to ensure that the marketing of unhealthy foods to children is restricted. The second one, which is very critical, is to ensure that you educate consumers so that they can be able to make better choices when they go to a supermarket. Because when you go to a supermarket right now and really try to choose foodstuffs that may be healthier to you, it becomes very difficult. So there is a labeling system that will be coming very soon, just to make it easier for consumers to be able to choose foods that are healthier and those that are not healthier. So any food items that will carry a logo in future will not be marketed or advertised to children, because it will have either, it will be high in either sugar or salt or fats, which we know that they're not good for children's health. So these are some of the key policy options that we believe can really make a huge difference. But another thing is also to educate consumers and the public to ensure that they also start changing their behaviors, because policies alone are not going to be enough. You also need to have an educated consumer who's able to make these choices, more especially at the time of purchasing of the foodstuffs.
Gilbert, what are the obligations with manufacturers to change ingredients in some of the products they make? And the reason I ask is, many a time you'll find that a single manufacturer in the United States, right, will reduce the amount of sugar that they're putting in cereal, for instance. But the same product, when sold in a separate market, still contains the same amount of sugar, even though scientifically and research in that part of the world has suggested that it needs to be cut down? Is there an obligation to manufacturers to apply some of those changes?
Yes, manufacturers have got a moral obligation to ensure that they also play their part. One is to ensure that foodstuffs that are really meant for children, especially complementary foods. We know that in certain markets, like in other countries in Europe, you find that a cereal that is meant for children is low in sugar, and yet the very same cereal that is marketed to children in our context, is very high in sugar. That really is problematic, and we are of the view that governments need to take serious action in terms of really regulating what goes into these foodstuffs that are largely consumed by children. So indeed, the food and beverage industry has got a moral obligation to ensure that the foodstuffs that are marketed and provided to children are nutritious and can provide the nutrients that are needed by children.
Now, what role does UNICEF play in creating the necessary awareness or advocating to governments? Because I'd imagine as a global organization, if there is a change in the configuration of foodstuffs in Europe or anywhere in the West, you would have that information here in Africa.
Yeah, our role as UNICEF is really to support, to advocate, for child rights in all its forms. One of the areas that we do in terms of really supporting government is to provide technical support to ensure that they promulgate and enact policies that will protect children. So in this case, we are continually supporting government to ensure that they have the right policies in place, to ensure that our children are protected at all costs, but also really to ensure that we also raise this voice and create awareness amongst the public, and also advocate to ensure that the food and beverage industry do the right thing. So this is the role that we're currently playing as UNICEF, and we'll continue to advocate for these key policies that we make and believe that will make a difference in children's lives.
Gilbert, as we wrap up, what simple changes can families make right now to protect their children?
Families need to be mindful and aware that not everything that is sold to their children is good for their children's health. So they also need to be aware that the culture where we have stopped preparing food from home and really relying on these fast foods, it's not really producing the desired results for our children. So in fact, we are creating children. We need to be mindful of the future of our children by ensuring that we provide them with nutrient-dense foods. It's better for us to start preparing food at home when this is what we used to do, rather than relying on these fast foods that are really not good and healthy for our children. This is something that as parents and as communities, we can start taking that power back. We have the power to make these decisions, but also we need enabling environment for us to be able to make these necessary choices. This is where the regulatory framework has to come in place.
Gilbert, I appreciate your time, both informative and educational. Gilbert Tshitaudzi, Nutrition Manager at UNICEF South Africa, speaking to us around the challenges of fast food and the levels of obesity in South Africa.